Oh, I need your help. I am surrounded by games that I have not played. Today, I'm going to be going over my shelf of shame, calling out an SOS because I need your help to know which games I should play first in my shelf of shame. Now, as I pulled them off the shelf, I realized that over half the games on my shelf I have yet to actually pull out and play. I've punched a bunch of them, I've opened them, but I've never got them to the table. So, the way that this is going to work, this SOS series, is that I'm going to show you all the games that I have not played and give you a brief description on where I got it and what I think about it. And then I'm going to have a vote on my Patreon, so be sure to hit the link below to go to the Patreon. This is going to be a free vote for everyone. Whether or not you are signed up for the Patreon, you can go and vote. Now, what you're voting on is which game I should play first. My goal here is to be able to play every game on my shelf of shame and knock it out. And right now I'm going to start at going every 2 weeks. I'm going to have a poll on the Patreon, and whichever game has the most votes, I'm going to play at least 3 times. I'm going to learn, play, and then give a brief video on my thoughts about it, who I think it's for, and whether or not I think it's going to stay in my collection. So be sure to click that link below to go to the Patreon. Also, know that you can win free games there, so check that out as well by signing up. So without further ado, here is my shelf of shame. First up is going to be Paladins of the West Kingdom, and there is actually an expansion on Kickstarter right now for this, and I think it's called, City of Crowns? I almost backed it, but I couldn't pull the trigger because I've not actually gotten Paladins to the table. I bought this because it was on sale on Amazon, and I've heard that it's a great solo game. And I play a lot of solo games, especially right now during COVID. So I got it, and I pulled it out, I punched everything, and it looked heavier than I wanted it to be. Now, I'm not against heavy games, but heavy Euro games are not really my jam. But I still want to get this to the table. I still want to check it out and see if it's as good as everybody says. I've never played a West Kingdom game. I've never played their Viking games. I don't remember what they're called. So this would be the first that I've actually owned from them. Paladins of the West Kingdom. Next up is a small game called Monstrous. Now, I got this at a Five Below, I think, for $5. And I had never even heard of the game. I looked it up. It had terrible reviews on BGG, but I figured for $5 I would check it out. It looks as though you're tossing cards around onto a table, and I've just not really had people over enough to pull this out, or the desire to pull it out. A quick, easy game. But yeah, if you've played Monstrous, let me know if it's as bad as people on Board Game Geek say it is. I've not played Manhattan Project Energy Empire. I have played the original Manhattan Project. In fact, that's the reason that I wanted to get this, and I found it for $25 on a trade. So I picked it up and just haven't gotten it to the table yet. I love the original Manhattan Project, so I'm hoping that I'll enjoy Energy Empire. But this has just been one of those that I was excited to get, and as soon as I got it, Etherfields came in the mail along with some other games. I bought all of Root stuff, and this just sort of got pushed to the wayside. I hope that it's as good as I want it to be, and as soon as I can get 4 people together, I am definitely going to check this out. Now, I got Paladins because it was a solo game, and I did the same thing with Aeons End. I like deck building games. It's still one of my favorite mechanics, even though it is far overdone. And this has a twist on it where you are playing cards. You're not actually shuffling your deck, but whatever order that you play your cards in or discard your cards is the order that you're going to be drawing them. And so it has that fun little twist. It has that monster hunter feel where it's you or a team of people against a big bad guy, a boss battler. And it had everything that I anticipated and wanted in a game. So I bought it, and it sat on my shelf, and I've just not played it. I don't really know why. I opened it, I looked at the cards, and put it back. Again, this is a game that looks like everything that I want in a game, but I just haven't pulled it out. Let me know if you think Aeons End is one that I should be playing right away, or if there's others here that are that I should get to the table first. Here's a big one. I got two big ones coming up. A Feast for Odin. Now, I ended up getting this in a trade as well. And, well, I bought it as part of a trade. And had a friend who said that he would teach it to me. And we talked about it, and it just hasn't happened yet. Again, I am not necessarily a huge fan of really heavy Euros. I've heard some people say this is heavy. I've heard some people say it's medium weight. All I know is that when I pull this out, I get overwhelmed and put it back and wait for Scott to come teach me. So Scott, if you're watching this video, get your butt over here and teach me this game, man. Another big one, Anachrony. Now, there has been one main reason that I have not played this game, and it is because I don't have the miniatures. I am a sucker for miniatures, and the miniatures in this look amazing as a side thing. And sure, the miniatures are just extra, right? They're not even needed to play, but I have watched videos with them and without them, and the amount of table presence that those miniatures bring, the amount of pop that it gives this game, makes it almost not even worth pulling out for me until I get those, and I've not found them at a reasonable price. So this is one that I've just sort of been holding off on, waiting for those miniatures. But if you think that I should just go ahead and do it, then vote for it. It'll be on the list as well. And if it wins, then I will play it without the miniatures. Also, if you know a good place online to get them for under $40, let me know. They've been sold out everywhere. So, Anachrony. Which side should we go to? Let's go over here. I have two Root expansions here that I've not played. The Underworld expansion and the Clockwork expansion. With COVID, I just haven't had people around to play Root with, which is why I got the Clockwork expansion and just haven't learned it yet. The new Root expansion, Marauders, is currently on Kickstarter as the time of this video, and they actually have a Clockwork expansion 2 coming out with some of the other factions in there. So I am looking very much forward to getting that to the table within the next few weeks, so I know whether or not I should be backing the Clockwork expansion or Clockwork 2, or if I should just wait and get it later down the line. So Root, the Underworld expansion I just haven't played because the people that I get stuck with Root, right? I feel like I'm always teaching it to new people, and therefore I'm always using the base game. I've not actually found a group yet who wants to play it consistently, and so I've not had a reason to pull the Underworld expansion out. But they will be on there, and if the Underworld expansion or they'll be combined. If Clockwork wins, then I will learn it solo. If Underworld expansion wins, then I will find some people who I have played with, get them over here, and play with some of these factions. Next up, we have a small game from Kickstarter that just came in called UpKeep. I think there was under 300 of these actually sold. It's a game where you are sort of cleaning up your house, cleaning up your yard. They have a family edition, which is why I bought this game, because my daughter is currently 5, and I thought that the family edition would be good enough for her to start playing some games. She loves watching and commenting and playing games with us, but what we play is just too much for her. And I thought this would be good, but it's still a little too much. So it's one that I'm going to hold on to for a year or two and pull back out, see if she gets it then. But if you want to know more about UpKeep or want to know my thoughts on it, go ahead and vote on it. I will play it solo as well as with my wife and let you know whether or not you missed out on a gem or if it was actually worth passing on. That's UpKeep. Next, I have Underwater Cities. I picked this up because everybody compared it to Terraforming Mars, which I had it up here. It's over here. I don't know if you can see it. And Terraforming Mars is going to be in my top 10 favorite games of all time. One of my favorite solo games of all time. I've probably played it 50 to 100 times. And with everybody always comparing Underwater Cities to it, I went ahead and picked it up. But I've had that issue where instead of learning this, I just wanted to pull Terraforming Mars back out. I know they are not the same game. I know there are a lot of people who don't even like that comparison and say they are different enough games that they are not worth comparing. But I do look forward to getting this to the table. It, again, looks like a game that I will enjoy, but I don't know why I went for a Terraforming Mars substitute when I love Terraforming Mars so much. So Underwater Cities, one day you will be on my table. We're getting a little crowded here, and we've got a lot to go. I got Sherlock Holmes, Consulting Detective, Jack the Ripper, and West End Adventures. Now, I ended up picking up this game at a ding and dent on Miniature Market for $25. When I picked it up, I knew nothing about the Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective games. I knew there were multiple games, but how they played, what they were, I had no idea. But I figured for $25, because one of the corners was dented, that I would check it out. And so I bought it, and I have not checked it out. So, Sherlock Holmes, I still don't even really know much about what it is. I know that it looks a little escape room-ish, but I'm not really even sure if those are comparable. So if you've played Sherlock Holmes and can tell me in a couple sentences what this game is, go ahead and leave a comment below. But it is one that I do want to play with my wife one day, because we like these kinds of games, as far as I know. We've got a couple more over here, and then we'll get back over there. Too many games, man. The Taverns of Tiefenthal. This was one that I bought because I am always looking for games that are a little, should I say, simpler, a little easier to teach and to play. And I'm looking for those games because those are more along the lines of what my wife enjoys. I am into the Kingdom Deaths, the Otherfields, the Tainted Grails, these giant campaign-based games. She's not at all. That is not her jam. She likes these more, if you're going by weight, then 2 to 2.8, maybe 3 on the BGG scale. And so I figured this would be a great game to pick up and play with her. And so I did, and we just haven't got it to the table yet. No real reason. She's interested, I'm interested. Just other things have been calling our attention more. And I'd say that Taverns of Tiefenthal just sort of fell through the cracks. Where it came in that time period where I'm looking for games, and so I end up buying 6 or 7. And this was one of those that just didn't end up getting played. Next, actually last ones over here are a duo. Robinson Crusoe and the Mystery Tales expansion. Now, again, I got this because I'm always looking for good solo games. I like games that are harder, and I've even watched a video on Robinson Crusoe being played, a playthrough, and it looks amazing. So much so that I went ahead and picked up Mystery Tales because I know it's going to be a game that I enjoy, and Mystery Tales apparently comes with some sort of campaign. So I picked them up, and again, I actually tried to read through the rulebook of this and got turned off. Not that it's a bad rulebook, but I decided at that point that I would rather watch a video or two, and just never did. So this is one that is always staring me in the face, that I'm always wanting to pull out and play and learn, but with new things always coming in, again, it just always gets pushed to the back burner. So Robinson Crusoe, I'm looking forward to picking up the new Kickstarter that is coming out soon. What is it? It's not the treasure chest. It's the book of scenarios. Should be coming out within the next couple months. And I need to get this played before that comes out so I know whether or not that is worth backing. Let me know if you've played Robinson Crusoe and if you think that it's worth it or not. Probably shouldn't stack games like this, but whatever. Let's hit up this other side. I have a few games over here. First is going to be Monsterlands, and I have to admit, I know nothing about this game. I hadn't even heard of it, but Miniature Market, the storefront in St. Louis, we go there a couple times a year. They had this on sale, I think, for $15, $20 in one of their mega sales. They always have these awesome in-store sales where you can pick games up for cheap, which a few of these last few games are going to be from that. As well as, like, for example, I got Zombicide Green Horde for $35. They had a stack of them, and we're trying to get rid of them, so I picked it up. And that's what we did with this. My wife went with me to Miniature Market. She looked at the back and decided that it's a game that she is interested in. There's not even hardly any words on the back, just some pictures. And I know that this was a Kickstarter game a couple years ago. But again, I don't know anything about it. One day, I'm going to get it played. Now, the next two games are going to be in a similar vein. And I'm going to just pull them both out. Lorenzo Il Magnifico and Newton. Both of these I ended up picking up at Miniature Market sales really just a couple months ago. I know everybody's trying to get rid of some of their copies of Lorenzo because I think it's a big box that's coming out, or a second edition, or there's something with Lorenzo coming out that is going to make this edition less valuable. And Newton is one that I've heard of. It looks bland as heck, all these brown colors and stuff, but it's been rated well. And so I ended up, I think, paying $20 for Lorenzo and $25 for Newton, and figured that I could easily get that money back if I didn't enjoy them in a trade or a sale. So like I said, I just got both of these about 2 months ago, so they haven't been on my shelf too long, but long enough that I should have played them by now. I have two more here. First is Pan Am, which I picked up first right when it came out in Target and was released. It looks like a very good train game with airplanes. And this has just sort of suffered with the same COVID-related things, where I just have not had a group of 4 people over who have wanted to learn this game, especially with COVID going on. So Pan Am, it looks like it's definitely worth the $30 that I paid for it, and I look forward to one day learning it. This last game, man. Mage Knight. I have tried to learn Mage Knight 3 times, and all 3 times I learn it, or I think I'm learning it, and then I just get overwhelmed and put it away. So this will be on the list. If you want to see Mage Knight and my thoughts on it, then let me know. I will put in the time to learn it fully, but it's just been one of those that seems overly convoluted for no reason, right? There are so many Kickstarter games that come out and have overly convoluted games. Now, Mage Knight was not a Kickstarter game, but that's what this reminds me of, and I have not understood yet why it is so popular. Is it so popular because it's actually that good? It's especially popular in the solo crowd, right? Always up there in the top, well, now the top 3 best solo games. And I don't know if that's because it's one of the original solo games that people learned and put the time in. I don't know if it's because it's actually as good as they say it is. I don't know yet. But if you want me to learn Mage Knight, then go ahead and vote for it. Be sure to check out the Patreon link below so that you can go and vote. I will give it 1 week. This video will be coming out on a Friday. I will be announcing on the following, so at the time of this recording, in 2 Kickstarter weeklies, I will be announcing which of these games I will be playing over the next couple weeks. So be sure to subscribe to the Kickstarter, or to this channel, so that you can get the Kickstarter weeklies. They come out every Sunday, and I think it'll be the first one in March is going to be the one that I let you know where I am headed. So, let me know what kind of games are on your shelf of shame. Let me know which games you are looking forward to learning, or which of these that I should have learned a long time ago and was just daft enough not to. Thank you for joining me. If you have any comments or questions about any of these games or anything else, let me know. And as always, game on.